In 1944, Japan launched a weapon no one expected would ever matter. It carried no heavy armor. It carried no machine guns, no advanced technology, just paper, hydrogen, and sandbags. And yet, it crossed 6,000 miles of ocean and reached the American mainland. Military officials laughed it off. Then, 6 people died in an Oregon forest. This is the story of a weapon the US ignored until it could no longer be ignored. Japan's situation. Let me show you Japan's reality in late 1944. The Pacific War was collapsing. American forces were island hopping toward the homeland. The Imperial Navy was shattered. B-29 bombers would soon be within range of Japanese cities. Conventional victory was impossible, but surrender was unthinkable. So Japanese military planners asked an insane question. How do you strike the American mainland when you have no long-range bombers, no navy capable of crossing the Pacific, and no possibility of mounting a conventional attack? The answer came from an unexpected source. Meteorologist Wasaburo Oishi had discovered something back in the 1920s. A high-altitude wind current flowing from Japan directly to North America at speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour, the jet stream. American meteorologists knew about it too. They dismissed it as militarily useless. Too high, too unpredictable, impossible to weaponize. Japan decided to prove them wrong. Development of the balloon bomb. The fugo balloon bomb was elegantly simple. A paper balloon, 33 feet in diameter, filled with hydrogen, suspended beneath it, sandbags, incendiary devices, and one clever piece of engineering: a barometric altimeter that maintained altitude automatically. When the balloon rose too high, it vented hydrogen. When it dropped too low, it released ballast. The physics were straightforward. Release the balloon into the jet stream, let it drift 6,000 miles across the Pacific, and when it descended over the American West, the incendiary payload would ignite forests, destroy farmland, and create widespread panic. Total cost per unit: about $100. In 1944 dollars. The payload couldn't match a B-29's destructive capacity, but that wasn't the point. Japan planned to launch thousands of these balloons. Quantity over quality. Psychological impact over tactical destruction. Between November 1944 and April 1945, launch sites along Japan's eastern coast released approximately 9,000 balloon bombs into the jet stream, aimed at an enemy that had no idea they were coming. Launches and early impact. On November 4, 1944, the U.S. Navy recovered balloon debris off the California coast. Initial assessment: meteorological equipment, probably American. Then, more appeared. Montana, Wyoming, British Columbia, Alaska. Always the same design, always carrying incendiary devices. FBI reports from December 1944 show the confusion. Some investigators thought the balloons were launched from submarines lurking off the coast. Others suspected Japanese-American saboteurs operating from internment camps. The idea that these devices had flown across 6,000 miles of open ocean seemed physically impossible. But the sand told the truth. Geologists examining the ballast bags identified microscopic marine organisms found only on specific beaches along Japan's eastern shore. The National Archives preserved the report that confirmed it. These weapons had crossed an ocean. Military officials still weren't worried. Most balloons landed in remote wilderness. The incendiary devices rarely ignited fires because winter moisture kept forests too wet. Damage was minimal, scattered, insignificant. The Office of Censorship imposed a complete media blackout. No newspapers, no radio broadcasts, no public warnings. The reasoning was calculated. If Japan didn't know whether their balloons were reaching targets, they might abandon the program entirely. For 4 months, America handled the threat quietly. Forest rangers stayed alert. Military patrols swept remote areas, but the public knew nothing. Japan had struck the mainland, and Americans had no idea their country was under attack when it hit home. March 10, 1945, Bly, Oregon. Reverend Archie Mitchell planned a Sunday school picnic in the Fremont National Forest. Perfect weather. Remote location, a peaceful afternoon for his wife Elsie, and 5 children from the church. While Reverend Mitchell parked the car, Elsie and the children walked into the woods ahead. According to the Klamath County Coroner's report, 13-year-old Jay Gifford spotted something unusual tangled in the trees and called out, "Look what I found!" The explosion killed them instantly. Elsie Mitchell, 26 years old, 5 months pregnant. Jay Gifford, 13. Edward Engen, 13. Sherman Shoemaker, 11. Dick Patsky, 14. Joan Patsky, 13. The only deaths from enemy action on the American mainland during World War II. Reverend Mitchell heard the blast from the parking area. The FBI report documents what he found: his wife and the children scattered among the trees, killed by a Japanese fugo balloon bomb that had been hanging there for weeks, waiting for someone to disturb it. The media blackout ended immediately. On May 22, 1945, newspapers across America ran the story. Japanese balloon bombs have killed 6 in Oregon. The Office of Censorship released information about previous sightings and urged civilians not to approach suspicious objects in remote areas. Military response escalated. The U.S. Army Air Force deployed fighter patrols along the Pacific coast with orders to shoot down balloons on sight. The Navy organized tracking stations. Forest rangers received emergency training on identifying and disarming fugo devices. Anti-balloon protocols that should have been implemented in November were finally rolled out in May. 4 months and 6 deaths too late. Why it mattered. Japan's balloon bomb campaign killed 6 people, started a handful of small fires, and caused minimal property damage. By conventional military standards, it was a complete failure. But conventional standards miss the point entirely. The fugo proved something terrifying. America's geographic isolation was an illusion. For the first time since the War of 1812, an enemy had attacked the continental United States with weapons launched from their own territory, crossing an ocean without ships or planes. After Bligh, parents across the Pacific Northwest kept their children indoors. Hikers avoided forests. Ranchers reported every unfamiliar object. The U.S. government diverted military resources to patrol thousands of square miles of wilderness, searching for balloon bombs that mostly landed harmlessly or never arrived at all. Fear works differently than destruction. Compare the response to conventional threats. When B-29s firebombed Tokyo in March 1945, killing over 100,000 people in a single night, Japanese civilians adapted and continued. When 6 Americans died in Oregon, the entire western United States went on alert. Japan spent roughly $2 million on the fugo program. America spent exponentially more responding to it. That's asymmetric warfare. But the real threat came even closer than anyone knew. On March 5, 1945, a fugo balloon struck a high-tension power line near Hanford, Washington, causing a temporary blackout at the Hanford Engineer Works. Hanford was producing plutonium for the Manhattan Project. The blackout lasted just long enough to disrupt cooling systems for the nuclear reactors. Department of Energy files declassified in 1985 show that if the power had stayed off for a few more minutes, reactor cores could have overheated, potentially causing a meltdown that would have set back America's atomic bomb program by months or years. A $100 paper balloon nearly derailed the most expensive weapons program in human history. Japan never knew. Legacy and interpretation. The fugo balloon bomb campaign is a forgotten chapter of World War II. No major battles, no strategic turning points. Just 9,000 paper balloons drifting across the Pacific, most falling harmlessly into the ocean or remote wilderness, a handful causing scattered damage, and 6 tragic deaths that changed American homeland security policy forever. History doesn't measure the fugo by its body count. It measures it by what it revealed. That technology doesn't need to be sophisticated to be effective. That distance doesn't guarantee safety. And that the fear of attack can be just as disruptive as the attack itself. Modern asymmetric warfare follows the same blueprint. Cheap drones, cyber attacks, improvised explosives. The principle remains constant. Force your enemy to spend millions defending against threats that cost you thousands to create. Japan's balloon bombs taught a lesson that military planners still study today. The most dangerous weapons aren't always the most powerful. Sometimes they're just the ones nobody expects. The balloons stopped falling in April 1945, not because of American countermeasures, but because Japan needed the hydrogen for other purposes and saw no evidence the campaign was succeeding. The media blackout had worked perfectly until it didn't matter anymore. By the time America acknowledged the threat publicly, the war was already ending. Conclusion: history doesn't remember this weapon for its destruction. It remembers it for the fear it caused and the surprise of being underestimated. War Minister Anami dismissed B-29 raids that killed 100,000 Japanese as acceptable losses. But 6 American deaths in a forest forced an entire nation to acknowledge that the homeland wasn't safe anymore. If this story of the weapon everyone ignored caught you, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the moments when underestimated threats changed history. Drop a comment. What modern weapon reminds you most of Japan's balloon bomb strategy? Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.